Hello everybody, I'm Mark with You Name It Contracting. I hope everybody's doing well today. What we have here is a remodel on a trailer. We are going to be installing some vinyl plank, wood look floating floor. This particular brand is Smartcore. That's a product from Lowe's. It's one of our favorite to use. This stuff is very scratch resistant, very water resistant. It moves and shifts with the flow of the house. In a mobile home, that's especially important, right? So what you want to do with this, you're going to start out, we've already marked out our line on the floor. You want to square off. You need to figure out the width of your room. And the goal of that is to make sure that you're not ending on a piece that's, 3/8 of an inch long and difficult to get in. We already have that laid out. My film operator Corey here is going to help me strike a line in a moment. We probably should have just gone ahead and done that first. So he's going to set the phone down. We're going to strike the line to where the first one runs to make sure that the entire floor goes square. So what you have with this floor is you have a male side and a female side. This is the male side. You've got a very small channel that will end up locking into the female side of the other piece. This is the female channel that male will lock into. So when you start your floor, you want to be running with the male towards the wall. In a lot of scenarios, you end up with a rip first. Which is what we may end up with here. That's pretty good. You don't have to tuck it up super tight to the wall. You do have trim and cord around as an option to go through with that. The line that is chalked is actually the reveal of the piece, not the female channel. So once the line should be slightly covered right now, and when the next piece goes in, you will end up on the line and everything will stay square. You literally just start with a full piece of this stuff. Before we started filming, one of my partners went ahead and cut me a few starters, not unlike the way you would start shingles. You make the decision when you start this to begin if you will be going with a consistent repeating pattern of how the pieces lay, or if you're going with a very random pattern, in which case your cutoff would be your starter on your next. This particular customer likes a pattern, so we've made the cuts to start the pattern. Your non-factory, your cut side, needs to go towards the wall. So got two pieces down here. Installation on this stuff is pretty simple. You slide the male into the female. A pre-cut block for beating this stuff in was made before filming starts. Slide that in, and it usually takes 1 or 2 taps to lock into the channel. The first ones are a little bit difficult to get going until there's enough of that floor to not move you when you tap it. Work right down the wall with your full pieces. These also have a male and female on the short side. You need to make sure it's in and hold it down with my back foot. It pops in place. As far as installation instructions goes, there's not a whole lot more to tell you. Once you get this stuff running, it kind of just goes. You're going to want to cut around areas in the room, cut underneath pieces of trim, or previously remove the pieces of trim, and then cut them back to height and put them back on. Hold this piece down so it doesn't ride up. Whenever you give it a tap and lock the channel. Come down here for a second. When the channel's locked, come right on over here, Corey. When the channel's locked, you should see the pieces butted together. You should see a portion of the male and female tab like you would if it looked like this. Got a little white running through here. That's not right. It needs to be the whole way locked. Corey's going to stop recording for a minute. We're going to put a bit of this down, and then we'll let you see what it looks like to just run wild in the middle of the floor. All right, so going back to the non-random pattern of this. When I was preparing for the video, I used one of my starters for my block. We were doing ours in 1 foot increments. So I need my 1 foot block again. One of the nice things about this flooring is you don't necessarily have to have a saw unless you're ripping a very thin part. You can typically score it, snap it, and it's good to install. So what you will see once the finished product is added to this is a step down pattern in it, non-random, customer's request. I'm a little bit partial to a random pattern. I think it looks a little bit more natural, but you guys are always right. So we will go with the non-random. We'll see you back here in a few minutes, and I'll show you a larger section of this floor as soon as we start cutting in down there. We'll see you in a moment.
Welcome back.
Okay, so I'd like to say it's because I'm the best, but we're going to go ahead and call it good fortune this time. Our cutout for our electrical box is exactly the width of the piece that we decided to start with. So we got lucky enough that once this is locked and laid down and bumped back, our next piece is going to float this cutout perfectly. If you're as good as I am, you might get that lucky too. Lock that in. Our beater, pressure here. And sometimes we need a little shim on the wall to make sure that when we beat this back, we're not going past the point that it's actually going to stay. Come around here, Corey. In order to lock this channel here, if we just beat this past the point that it's going to be, it won't line up once we come back into place. So, there it goes. Got a piece in the wall. Floor slide a little bit. There it goes.
Nice.
Live last time. And now once the panel's on here, this covers with trim, and that's how you get around obstacles. Okay, welcome back, guys. What we have here is the finished floor. Sorry that you didn't get to see too much of it in between, but Chris moves a little bit too fast for us. So take a look in here. What you have, you're going to cut your door returns up so that you can bury underneath that. If for some reason you can't get the entire way underneath it, caulking that matches close, transition strips where it goes to another set of doors. Quarter round covers your gaps in all areas. Take a shot of that so they can see how that finished.
This one was before.
Register vents and caulking where needed, and this is what you end up as a final product. We appreciate you hanging with us for this tutorial video. We hope you learned something, and we'll see you on the next one.